All right. Yeah, we could do. We can still do God's existence. Yeah, we could continue from the argumentation. What were you saying about contingent things? Sorry, like I couldn't fucking hear you through that.
Yeah, so all I was just saying is that maybe I could grant that contingent things are dependent. I don't see how this would establish like God exists, and I don't even think that I would grant that contingent things are dependent. Like maybe I'd grant that it might be the case that some contingent things are dependent and some other contingent things aren't dependent.
Like, what do you mean by like not dependent in that case? Like, you go ahead and like
So yeah,
clarify.
so by not dependent, I just mean that there's no external cause that suffices why they exist.
Okay, so then you would just be saying it's an internal cause from the framework.
No, I don't think internal causes. Okay, so under my definition of what I think causation is, I think that every causal relation is asymmetric. So I don't think there's a such thing as an internal cause.
Okay, so you just think it's like conjunctive all the way.
What did you say?
So you think it's just caused from the same chain of events.
Yeah, so I think that every cause, okay, so I think that if an object is caused, it must be caused by something external to it. It can't cause itself or anything like that.
But you just said that something like fucking contingent cannot be granted by some external or have like some
Yeah, I'm
form of
saying that
external.
there could be, wait, yes, I'm saying that there could be a contingent thing that is not asymmetrically caused and isn't symmetrically caused either. So it just doesn't engage in any
Okay,
causal
so
relations.
if your definition of a causal relationship is just like, going down from one singular fucking event and then like continuously going on, it would just be reflexive of the singular thing causing that same thing to continuously go down one singular time stream of cause and effect. But if you're also saying there's also the same thing which you rejected and also accept there's a negation towards that, you're just affirming there's two dichotomous acceptance things which cannot go hand in hand if something is supposed to be the case that it's continuously reflexive of one singular cause and fucking effect event, and it's going down from there.
Wait,
But
what do
then
you think
it's speak.
continuously reflexive
Hold
means?
on, hold on. I'll define that after I'm done like speaking. Sorry if I speak a lot. But even then, if that's the case, basically in that point, it's just gonna be contrary towards the fucking set of events it's causing that. Also, what I mean by like continuously reflexive, it's in like correspondence or just coextensive with the first singular event. It's gonna be reflexive of that singular times for being caused by that singular amount of events by being asymmetric.
Yeah, I'll just clarify what I mean. So by asymmetric, and you probably need to repeat what you said at first, 'cause I couldn't really hear you. But by asymmetric, I just mean that by an asymmetric causal relation, I just mean that the two objects that are engaged in a causal relation. So for example, let's say that I cause um like my PC to fall down. In any causal relation in which X causes Y, X and Y must be distinct. So that's basically what I take a causal relation to be. I don't believe that you can have a causal relation in which both of the objects engaged in the relation are identical. I think that's impossible. And so I don't think that any, I think that what I'm saying is just that there might be a contingent object that has no cause. So there might be a contingent object that does not cause itself and is not caused by any other thing. It just exists.
Like I said, that would just be like affirming something like a brute fact or brute contingency.
I mean, yeah, you can take it to be a brute fact or be a contingency.
Okay, so if it's a root contingency, you do realize that root contingencies, by being a fucking condition thing, or just rather being contingent in itself, is still an explanation for why it exists. That's already paradoxical. You cannot apply
No,
that if that's the case.
no,
Yes,
that's not. Yeah, that's not how it works. Yeah, because a
wait,
brute
why?
contingency by definition, where a brute contingency can obviously explain things. Nobody's saying that brute contingency can't explain things. So what I mean here is that imagine I exist and I'm a brute contingent fact. I can still like be the causal explanation of like some objects. So if I say that I'm a brute contingent fact and then I cause my PC to I cause my PC to fall down, the PC will still have an explanation. It's just that I don't have an explanation.
Okay, so actually, you don't get the point. That's not still the root contingency word. That's the fucking question. That's like an entirely different fucking cause relationship happening. It's a different set of fucking events from the specific brute contingent thing, yes, you could be a brute contingent thing. But we're talking about something that is in question towards the brute contingent thing, not something being caused by the said brute contingent thing. Obviously, something brute contingently in that said framework can grant a another explanation towards the other said thing, then therefore giving that a cause. But since it's dependent, and brute contingencies do not have any sort of explanation, it existing and being contingent is a way for it to exist and have an explanation. Brute,
And no,
by definition,
I think that explanation is different from being dependent. I think that explanation is a grounding relation. So what a grounding relation is just a strict ordered relation in which when you say that X explains Y, you're just saying that X is causally prior to Y, X is ontologically prior to Y, and X is the reason for why Y exists. And then I don't think that dependence relations are always strict ordered. So like you can have dependence relations. So some dependence relations can be symmetric, but no causal explanation relations can be symmetric. So not explanation relations can be symmetric, but some dependence relations can be symmetric.
okay, so you're just defining what the fucking distinction between that is. Okay, so okay, hold on. Can I ask you a question? You affirm that brute contingencies hold to asymmetric things, right? Yes or no? Like just for clarification, just like
Wait, I don't know what you mean by the question. So are you asking me, do I think that brute contingencies like can be asymmetrically explained?
no, not asymmetric. I think do you like adhere to that it's like asymmetrical? That's what I'm asking.
It's okay. It's unclear what you mean when you say that something is asymmetrical, because being asymmetric is an extrinsic relation, it's an extrinsic fact, and so there's no such thing as an object being asymmetrical. And because when you speak of an object being asymmetrical, it's asymmetrical in relation to something else, because it's not a monadic like
If
property.
it's the case, if it's like fucking external, say for example, dependency and etc. Right, that would still be some form of like externality. Not I wouldn't say externality in the sense that it causes this. I think, but its dependency. I don't think it would be like internal to itself. I just think it would be capable of explaining the fact in itself due to dependency. Like say for example, I'm pretty sure you explained the existence set relation and then the fucking nothing. You hold on. You mentioned a oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. But essentially, I just think that brute contingencies um are still explained. Just make them paradoxical because like
But
brute
wait,
is
why
like
would what would they be? Okay, I could grant that. Wait, okay. What would they be explained by? Like what would a brute contingency be explained by? I'm confused.
dependency, just their own existence would be explained by and why it's
'Cause
dependent.
I just told you that under my semantics, I could grant that a brute contingent might have some symmetric dependence with itself, but it's not explained by anything. Because already told you that explanation relations are strict ordered, which means that if you have any object that explains why, that object is distinct from y, so it's an asymmetric relation. And obviously, you can't say that um, x explains itself, because if you were to say that x explains itself, you'd be saying that x is prior to itself and x is also distinct from itself, is obviously a contradiction. So I already told you like the difference between like dependence and explanation. Dependence isn't strict ordered, whereas explanation is strict ordered.
Okay, so let me just counter that real quick. Dependency in terms of explanation is just we're not talking about causal explanation. We're talking about why it exists. Like say for example,
I'm
brute
talking about
contingency.
causal explanation.
Okay, okay, hold on. Like, yeah, I'm aware you're talking about that, but like, I'm just like going over some form of truth maker from argumentation. So what I'm essentially saying is that based upon the argumentation that basically, it's dependent upon something, right? This is an external thing towards like the internal like essence of what just like root is. It's just like an external explanation from observation. So our explanation of that is still just gonna have some form of virtual distinction between internal thing, right? I'm saying because of this explanation, root contingencies can be contradictory, right? I'm
No, I
aware
can
that
no
you
because like
okay,
no
hold on,
because
hold on,
like
hold
you can have. Wait, I think there's a bit of confusion here. So you can obviously have a brute contingent which is brute contingent in some ways, but not brute contingent in other ways, right? The type of brute contingency that I'm talking about is a metaphysical brute contingency because obviously those are the only brute contingencies that actually ontologically commit you to something. I don't care about like epistemic brute contingencies because they don't ontologically commit yourself to anything. And like I can probably even grant that everything has an epistemic explanation. But in a metaphysical sense, I don't think that everything has a metaphysical explanation.
Okay, obviously you didn't track your distinction. Okay, like yeah, sure, you can make a distinction between fucking like epistemic root contingencies and then the point about metaphysical root contingencies. Even then, I'm still just saying I'm observing from the metaphysical fucking root contingency. I'm not talking about like the epistemic type of root contingencies, right? So, like depending upon this, I'm saying that I'm rationally observing it. I'm not talking about any type of epistemic root contingency. Like, hold on, I'll just put the definition of what that is up real quick. Hold on, give me a
Yeah,
second.
but let me just get some clarification. So are you talking about causal explanation or not?
Give me a second. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so epistemic contingency just refers to something that can be like, not explained by itself. Like, okay, sure. Or just any fucking known facts. Oh, that's just a fucking brute fact.
I just
Anyways,
wanted to like get an
yeah,
answer.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah, yeah.
are you talking about causal? Are you talking about causal explanation or not?
Not necessarily.
Okay, if you're not
Obviously,
talking about causal explanation, then we're speaking past each other because for me, when we're talking about metaphysical contingencies or metaphysical brute contingencies, we're talking about whether it's causally explained or not. And so if you're not talking about causal explanation, we're just speaking past each other. We're not even speaking about the same terms, which means that
yeah,
it's not
you
fruitful.
don't fucking understand that. Okay, hold on. Instead of cutting me off, let me fucking explain something. I'm saying because of the internal attributes, right? Not any type of asymmetric relationship, right? I'm saying asymmetric relationship, which refers to the essence of what a root contingency is, necessarily saying, because in itself it
It
has,
can't be asymmetric if it's referring to the essence.
yeah, I'm not saying it's asymmetric. I said I'm not talking about asymmetric. See, you can't even fucking track that. That's already a fucking strong one. So, oh, cool.
Wait, that's not strong. I'm just
Yeah,
pointing
it is
out some
because no,
things.
no, 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 no. You're pointing out something, but also taking that from my fucking semantics. That's a misinterpretation. Anyways, I'm not meta
Wait, no,
debating. I'm fucking.
I didn't misinterpret what you said. I was just literally just pointing something out. Like what?
Yeah, you were loosely pointing out what specifically. Like what? Wait, what was there to even
I was
fucking
just
clarify?
pointing out.
What track?
I
What
was just pointing out the
what was
fact
there?
that
No. Answer the question. What was there besides my fucking semantics, which you wanted to loosely point out? Otherwise, you're just fucking
no,
bringing in some.
I said I was literally pointing something out. So I
Okay,
was
you're
just saying
pointing
that. So
something
there was
out
no.
for what
Yeah, I
reason?
was saying
Okay,
that. So there was no
I already
confusion.
established. No. I already established that I'm not talking about asymmetric relationships. I already said that, right? You didn't
Yeah,
track that, so you pointed it
I was
out,
just
right?
pointing it out.
So
So there
now
was
you're
no
pointing
confusion.
out because you thought you fucking misheard something.
Wait,
Oh
wait,
my gosh.
wait. No, I didn't misheard. I didn't miss. Okay, oh my God. I heard what you said perfectly. I just said that I pointed it out, so there was no confusion. So we weren't confused about the terms that we were
Okay,
using.
so
That's why
if
I said
there's
that I pointed
okay,
it
hold
out.
on. Because there was no confusion, even though you fucking
I
heard
said
my
so there
preface.
was yes. So
Okay,
there was no
okay,
confusion.
no,
Just in
no, no,
case there
no.
was no confusion.
So there was no confusion. Okay, I already perfectly established that I'm not talking about a fucking asymmetric thing. We already went over the fucking
Okay, that's
definitions, right?
fine. I'm
I
saying that
already
you
did
can
that
move
before.
on.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't know why
fucking
you're
care.
fixated on
Hold on,
this point.
no, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna explain something. Real quick. There was nothing there besides my semantical
Why are you trying
positive
to go into this
semantics.
meta point? Just move on. I don't know why you're trying to like
That's not
fixate
a
on this
meta
meta point. Move
because
on.
obviously you obviously fucking opened that fucking can of worms by saying it's not a straw man, retard. Anyways, the whole fucking point
It
about
wasn't a
that
straw man because
is
I wasn't saying that
my
was your
no, no,
argument.
yeah, obviously you're continuing the meta point, even though trying to apologize for that. Anyways, the
Yeah,
whole fucking point of it
okay.
being a straw is that no, okay, the only part there was that essentially the only part of my fucking semantics which you said you heard perfectly and then said, oh, I'm only pointing it out to point out, no fucking confusion. Despite hearing me perfectly, you knew there was no fucking confusion if you knew what I was fucking talking about, which I said, oh, hey, there is no asymmetric things. You already agreed that you heard me perfectly. So there's nothing to fucking point out. Otherwise, you're just bringing it into some random fucking point that's you fucking
I already
useless to the
explained
dialect
why I pointed it out.
or its fucking progression. Okay, retard? So
Okay,
obviously,
you can
you're just
literally
going
just go
off
on to the
something you
next. I say
fucking
you can go
heard,
on to the next
try and
point.
point something out, which is not there. Obviously, you're not gathering from something, right? You're not gathering
I don't
what's
know
there.
why it's
You're
okay.
bringing
I don't
in
know why it's on
something
this
which
point.
is not there. It's not a fucking interpretation that's accurate, retard. To bring in
Yeah, I don't
no
know why
music,
it's on this
no
point.
music contributes your concept, so yeah,
You
the
can
same
literally just
fucking points. Yeah, I don't
save.
fucking care. Shut the fuck up. You're a retard, bro. No, you're not saving the rag. Don't try and do this because you're getting whooped on a fucking metal.